What's up, everybody? It's Truckin' Daddy here, and sitting here in the truck. Finally, it's the first time I've even seen the truck in 5 days. I'm still waiting on it to get fixed. They said, "Oh well, your part should be there anywhere between now and 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. and it's noon right now, so I got at the most 2 hours to wait till the part even gets here. Then another hour, they said, for them to put the part in. It's a reader hose. I'm not that mechanically inclined, so I couldn't tell you exactly what that is, but I'm assuming it's like a pressure hose or something something on the crankcase, I guess, because they had to replace a sensor on it too. But yeah, I've been down since Friday. It's now Tuesday. I have missed out on a lot of miles, and I figured I'd take this opportunity to say a few things, maybe get started on my whole chronicle of where I started and where I am and where I'm planning on going. But first off, where I started was nowhere. I was in such a bad place. I didn't care about a whole lot of stuff. I had no drive to do anything, and I was partying, doing drugs and drinking and doing all sorts of other stuff I probably shouldn't have been doing. And then along comes a girl, just like in the movies, comes a girl, and she sticks around even though I wasn't very nice to her, and then end up getting her pregnant. And I changed my whole outlook on life and decided that I was going to take care of my kid and take care of my new girlfriend, the mother of my child, just like you're supposed to do. And we had our ups and downs and did quite a bit, and then now she's pushed me quite a bit to, she's motivated a sense of passion or drive in me to where, along with my kid, which now we're married and we have 2 kids, but she motivated something inside me to where I wanted to make a better life for my kids. Sorry, that was my Qualcomm. It loaded up and was telling me that I had a whole bunch of messages that I missed over the weekend. But now she's done a lot for me, and so that got me started into what I wanted to do with my life. And honestly, like I said in my last video, if you'd have asked me a couple years ago if I thought I'd be driving a truck, no, not at all. I was working oil field jobs and factory jobs and all sorts of other stuff, just trying to make ends meet. But sorry, it's hot in here. I'm sitting in a truck that hasn't been on in 5 days because I don't really care to be walking around this whole parking lot for the next 3 hours. But yeah, so I was at this factory job for a couple of years, running these machines, making weld wire and bead wire, the wire that they put in car and truck tires and all that stuff. And it wasn't a bad job. I was paid really well, and I was home every day. But I was on night shift for 4 years, working 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. with a little bit of variance over that time, not much, but then they started cutting hours really bad, and I couldn't even afford to go to work because I was working maybe 2 or 3 days a week, So I started looking around, and one of the guys that used to work there, he had quit and gone to a CDL school and got his CDL, and apparently was making really good money driving a truck. And I also have some other friends and family who all have their CDLs, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's a good way to go, you'll always have a job." And I was like, well, you know what, it'd be nice to have a career instead of being a labor hand or whatever, sitting there being extremely expendable. That was my problem, is I didn't want to be expendable. Which, just about anywhere you go, you're going to be expendable. It's just if I got my CDL, I knew that I'd always be able to go somewhere, especially once I got the experience. So I hired on at this oil field place where I was a labor hand, but I knew that they would pay for me to get my CDL. And so after I was there for about 6 months, they were like, okay, yeah, it's time. You put in the time, you can start working on getting your CDL. You got to go get your permit. And I had to do everything on my own. I had to study on my own, which wasn't that hard. CDL test is not that hard as long as you study. I think a trained monkey could pass those tests. But then after I got my permit, I was there and they were training me, which that was another thing I had to do myself. I had to, anytime we had downtime, I had to go out there, practice my pre-trip and practice my upshifting and downshifting in the yard, which I couldn't go very fast because it was a pretty small yard, honestly. But just getting used to being in a truck, and then practice on my backing. Had to do that all on my own, sometimes on my own free time. A lot of times they'd as long as I was out there doing it, we weren't busy, they would pay me all day to sit in a truck and practice backing or practice my shifting. And every now and then I'd ask somebody, hey, can you take me out on the road? Let's go driving, you know? So we'd do that, and I was doing that for a couple of months, and then I ended up getting hurt on a job. I shattered my finger with a sledgehammer. That was real smart. And that put me down for about 4 months because I had to have surgery on this finger. That's as far as I can bend it now compared to what I used to be able to do. I got a steel plate put in there, and then I had to do physical therapy for 4 months. They put me on a restriction where I couldn't use my hand at all, and I was learning on an 18 speed, so I had to use that hand to shift. So that put me down for another couple months, and then all of a sudden my company was like, well, hey, we're going to be moving the whole company from Oklahoma to Texas. And so I just got off my restriction. I was like, well, dang, if we go to Texas, it's going to be really hard for me to get my CDL because I can't do it down there. And I won't be able to get practice in because from what I was told, I still don't know if it's true or not, but a lot of states don't recognize a permit. Which I also had the intrastate restriction to where I was only allowed to drive in Oklahoma anyways. But then me and one of my buddies who had just got hired on, he and I busted our asses for about 2 or 3 weeks straight. All we did was practice our backing and practice driving. That's all we did all day, every day. We even came in on the weekends on our days off to practice. And then the week before we went down to Texas, we scheduled our tests. And I'll be the first one to tell you that I'm not the best driver in the world, and it took me 2 tries to pass the written test. And then I went in and I passed my pre-trip no problem. Then I went and did my backing, and I was so nervous, and I offset a little bit too much, and he failed me because I pulled up too many times on the backing, so I didn't get to do my drive. Well, then the next day I went to another place and did my test again. Obviously I had to skip my pre-trip. I did the backing, I passed that, and then I did my drive test. And I'll tell you what, I am a nervous wreck whenever it comes to testing, especially on something like that. But I mean, I passed by the skin of my teeth, but I passed, you know. I mean, once you get that card though, that in Oklahoma it's yellow. I don't know what it looks like everywhere else, but once you get that little yellow card, it don't matter how many times you failed, and it doesn't matter how many points you got on your test. You got that license now, and that's, in my opinion, your golden ticket to a bright future, as long as you have the drive to do what you're gonna do. So I got my CDL, and I was there with them for I actually got it in January of this year, and then 3 days later they put me in the biggest, longest truck they had, oversized load on it, and I hauled it from Stillwater, Oklahoma to Midland, Texas. It was about a 10.5-hour drive with the permitted route. I mean, and I'm pretty sure that company, they were testing me, because I mean, I had my CDL, and they had so many other people that could have done that truck I could have done one of the smaller, easier trucks, especially me being a new CDL holder. But no, I think they wanted to test me for some reason. But apparently they told me I did really good, and so then I was driving for them for a couple of months, and then the COVID was happening, and it wasn't really messing with us at all. But then that oil bust happened, and that shut us down and really screwed me over, because like I said, I never went to CDL school, and I didn't get enough experience, which to me, I had plenty of experience, you know. I mean, I had plenty of experience to at least start a job, but then we all got laid off, and the thing that sucked the most about it was that once I got that driver pay raise in the oil field, oh my goodness, the money was amazing. Like, I guarantee you, if I find out that one of those companies that I know of and like the one that I worked for opens back up, or business starts coming back and oil prices go back up, I'll probably go over there for a little while, because that is some good money. The only way to make better money than that is for me to accomplish my goal, which I want to become an owner-operator. I want to buy my own truck, which I have my plans for that. I just need to get everything figured out properly. But the whole purpose of this video right now is to emphasize the fact that I mean, like a lot of these other trucker, well, at least one trucker YouTuber that I follow, he'll say that it's not for everybody. Trucking's not for everybody, but if you have the drive to do it, you can. And I mean, again, I started at nothing, and here I am, maybe less than a year away from opening my own company and becoming a quote-unquote CEO. I went from a good-for-nothing, partying, druggy alcoholic to in less than 10 years. I mean, yeah, 10 years is a long time, but in less than that amount of time, I went from there to here. And it's just one of those things where, like I said, if you've got the drive to do it, then you can. Anybody can do this. I'm not anybody, but anybody that has the will and the gumption to do it can. And I'm not saying it's easy, I'm not saying it's hard, but it's definitely going to be an experience for me. And I really look forward to documenting the rest of everything. But right now, that's where I'm at. Like I said, I'll finish this real quick. Is that I got laid off, and then COVID prevented me from getting another job for 4 months, because I was sitting there applying at hundreds of places, and nobody would hire me because they couldn't put me in a truck with a trainer. And then I finally got to a place. I called the place up, and they're like, "Oh yeah, well, we'll hire you, but we can't right now. But as soon as COVID lets up, we will call you back and we'll hire you." I was like, "All right, cool, let's do that." You know, and then I talked to another couple places, and they're like, "Oh yeah, well, you don't have enough experience." And one day I was waiting on a phone call from a place that I was probably going to get the job, and it wouldn't have been that bad, but then Melton called me while I was waiting for that guy to call me, and I started talking to them, and it was flatbedding, and I was like, "Well, hell yeah." I said, "That's exactly what I want to do. I want to do flatbed. I don't want to do dry van or even end dump or belly dump." I mean, those wouldn't have been too bad. I mean, I'd have made money doing it, and I'd probably been home more, but then they called me up and was like, "Well, we can put you in orientation in a week and a half or something." I was like, "All right, cool." I said, "Let's do it." I was like, I would like to start working and get my experience, and then one day, I don't think I told them, but one day I'd like to get my own truck, start my own business, and run under my own authority. But I mean, I got a lot of steps to go between now and then even. But I mean, I've made the first few steps. I got into working for this company. They put me in orientation. I went with my trainer for 3 weeks. I went home with my truck, and then now I've been pretty much on the road ever since. I mean, it's been 2 months, 3 months, 2.5, a little more than 2 months since I got my my truck. And I've been out by myself. I've been home a couple times. I'm actually going home next week, so that'll be fun because I've been gone for, by the time I get home, it will be almost 6 weeks since I left. I'm looking forward to that. But that's also another thing that I would like to put out there, is that this is one of the reasons why a lot of people can't make it out here, is because you are gone, and you have to accept the fact that you're gone and that you're going to be away from your family. If you've got young ones, it's tough. I've got 2 young ones, a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, and it is rough. I call them every single day. We have this luxury of FaceTime, or you can even do Facebook Messenger or something, and video chat with your family, so that makes it a lot easier. But I mean, you're still away, and I've gotten a lot of pushback from some family that are, one family member in particular, who thinks that I'm making a huge mistake by being away from my family. But the problem is, I can either be away from my family and they can have all the stuff they need, or I can be with my family and we could probably end up being homeless. So I'll make this sacrifice for now. And then one day when I am running my own authority and running my own truck and my own business, maybe I won't have to work so much. Maybe I'll have people working for me and I can work when I want to, but I won't have to be gone so much. Right now I have to be. I mean, I've got bills to pay and I've got things to do. But yeah, I guess that'll be the end of this one. Again, sorry, I'm rubbing my eyes. It's just hot in here and I'm sweating. I'm kind of a hefty dude, and I'm wearing black in the El Paso winter. What is it, November 3rd? Oh, it's election day. Huh. Well, I guess until next time then, we'll see what happens between now and then. I'll probably do a video about what goes on today in my next load, so keep an eye out.